What is going on, everybody? East Tactics here, and as promised, I'm showing you guys how to make your own custom switch so that you can power up your high power fans. I've made recent videos that talks all about the importance of having not only super extremely bash resistant fans, but also when it comes to the summer heat, having high powered 40mm fans attached to both your ESC and your motor. Basically the pinnacle of like cooling for our high-end Arrma vehicles, or any RC for that matter that has, you know, a motor and an ESC. If you can fit these 40mm fans on them, you are going to be doing yourself a huge favor to protect your electronics. Just a quick reminder, I have dropped a video that basically talks about what is the best 40mm fan you can pick up online for this DIY project. The value of doing this whole project DIY is going to be in this video here. Watch this video from start to finish to understand basically how much it's going to cost you if you want to do this setup for both your motor and your ESC with 40mm high power fans for actually quite a lot less than if you were to go with, you know, these companies that are selling these as kits. When you do this project DIY, you come away with all kinds of extra. This is the type of stuff that you're gonna have lying around so that you can retrofit a second vehicle down the road. When you buy these fans from AliExpress, you actually get a 3-pack. So the savings is huge doing it DIY. But the one thing that I didn't go into great detail about in my last video was basically if you want to create a switch. So now if you look closely here, you can see the power on off for my vehicle is here. And then I've got my switch right here and it's zip tied in, so it's not going anywhere. So the zip tie method has worked really well for me. And basically if you look close, I actually cut 2 holes in the side of the plastic here. I did not go underneath. You do not want to go up underneath the body, because if you do and you come down hard enough, you're going to end up snapping. 2 holes on the side wrapping around that switch. Alright, so this is what these switches look like. So currently this switch is set up to only power 1 fan. Now, the question is, where do you get these switches? And how do you upgrade these to incorporate the idea of running 2 fans? Well, the thing is I've looked high and low and you can't find anywhere where this little switch here already has your 3S connector on it and is a split to 2. And this one isn't even a split to 2. So naturally it's going to be running from 3S to the switch and then out to this right here is basically your JR connector, right? So you just snip out the yellow and the blue and you get it down to what you see here, just the red and the black, okay? Then I always recommend retrofitting your fans to output to the JR connector that will fit inside of these. If you end up down the road wanting to plug the fan directly into your ESC or plugging the fan directly into your receiver box, you know, this is basically what your vehicle is going to be ready to take, all right? So I myself just recommend anytime you buy these fans, you snip everything and you run it to an output for the JR connector, okay? So you can see that this switch right here is already set up to switch on and off a single fan. Well, these are the components that you would need to basically outfit this, right? So I talked about this in the last video. You can get 16 feet of this braided cord, and the only thing that you're going to really need the braided cord for, I mean, if you want to add a little bit of flair, it just looks nicer, is actually for your fan itself, okay? I'm not going to incorporate any of this braided cord into the switch, mostly just for the fans. Now, if you wanted to incorporate the braided material into this, you could. I mean, it'll look great, I think, and it just, you know, require a little bit more time to outfit it. But you're gonna have 16 feet of it, so you're gonna have more than enough to do it. The next thing you're gonna wanna pick up is one of these already pre-made splitters. Obviously, you can go through the trouble of like making these splitters yourself, but when you can get a 6-pack of these things for literally $7, I myself think, man, that's just a steal. So, you know, as you guys know, I've got links to all these products down in the description, and there's a link for the 6-pack of this. Now here is where you need to pick up this little end piece for connecting to your 3S battery. Naturally, you can probably search for a kit that's going to have, you know, nothing but these connectors and you can go through the trouble of like connecting it and all that stuff. But I myself don't really care to own, you know, a whole box full of these of these connectors. These two center black ones are just gonna get pulled out, and then you're gonna have your red and your black. So anyway, a 3-pack for $9, okay? Then right here, you can buy this exact switch for $9 for 2 of these, okay? So we're gonna convert this stuff into a custom output to your 3S battery. You could actually just take this and plug it in right here. And then all we really need to do is just basically switch this end right here to the 3S. I sort of have this set up currently in my vehicle, and I have the switch running literally all the way around the back side of my vehicle, around here. So in today's kind of tutorial on how to do this, we're just gonna make this nice and simple. It's basically gonna be this right here, switched, and then we're gonna make this split like this, okay? Also, I'm gonna show you guys something that, the way I like to do it is using the soldering instead of just like snipping things, twisting them together, you know, and like electrical taping it. Like, I like to use the soldering iron. It makes a stronger connection, and it also is just good practice when it comes to soldering, because there's different times where you're going to be wanting to, you know, do a solder project, whether it be on your RC car or just other things in life. And why not do it with more strength as well as getting practice. The other thing I want to show you is something I'm pretty excited about. I recently picked up a new solder iron, and I'm going to show you guys just how much it makes a difference to pick the right solder iron when you buy one. And it doesn't have to be more expensive necessarily. This solder iron cost me $20, whereas this one cost me $20 also, and it's a freaking piece of junk. So I want to share with you guys which one to get and why. All right, so let's go ahead and get this set up to where we can start piecing this stuff together. All right, so the first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna take our fan. They give you a very generous amount of wiring here. Looks like they've done their own little solder job here to connect all this. So anyway, basically snip it to where you've just got your red and your black. That's all you need to run this. You then take your switch that you picked up off of Amazon. So we're going to steal this piece. You don't really need to stress about like where you cut it, because you know you're going to be using this wire right here for whatever length you want to make it. So you know, honestly, you're just going to snip this right in the middle, like so. Now, we want this to be about 6 inches, right? So we'll go ahead and just set this aside for now. So the first thing you want to do is throw your braiding on, and in order to do that, you really don't want these ends kind of catching on things, so you just want to snip these off. Okay? Then you'll take and braid it. Makes it a lot easier to get the braiding all the way on. And then we're going to find ourselves some of the heat shrink. We're going to cut it to be about that long. All right, throw this on, and this is the thickness, or the kind of, you want it to be round enough to fit over this stuff, like so. Get it kind of as close as I can. And actually, I mean, right now I can go ahead and heat it up, shrink it. We're gonna slide this on. This is gonna be our next one. And we mostly just want this one to be just down and out of the way. These are called helping hands. Extremely useful for holding your 2 wires so that you can do your soldering. We're gonna set that aside. Now let me show you this soldering iron. Basically came with a whole bunch of goodies, and it came with all these tips You have an option for all these different tips. And again, this solder iron was only like, I think it was like a little over 20 bucks. Right here is what I was looking for, okay? This is kind of chintzy, but it does the job. I mean, I've also got a regular set too, but let me just set this aside. Okay, we're just gonna strip the ends of this real quick. Okay. Okay, so what I want to show you, this is the old Radio Shack, kind of I think it was 20 bucks also. And I just want to give you guys a quick comparison, reference between what I feel is basically a garbage solder iron and a good one. So this one, as soon as you plug it in, it starts heating up, okay? Okay, so it's been about maybe a minute, 60 seconds since I plugged this in. Let's see. I'm feeling heat. See if this is hot enough to actually melt. I'm not getting nothing. Let's just see how fast this thing works. This one? Oh, look at that. Nice. Okay. So now they're both up to working, right? This one has been on a while. I'm getting nothing, but this end is all jacked up because there's no on and off switch for this thing. I mean, literally when you're working on a project for 10 or 15 minutes, you don't think to go unplug it because it's like the plug-in, you know, you just leave it sitting here in its holster and it just sits there and is super scalding hot, right? And then let's go back to this one. Watch how fast, I mean, if I just barely touch this thing, it's already ready to go. I mean, look how nice the tip is on this thing. Now, I can go here and I can switch it off. Since the switch is right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it off since I'm, you know, got a couple of things I wanna do to prepare this so that it's ready for me to solder. But that was ultimately what I wanted to show you. This thing heats up way faster and has a dial on it so you can set temps on it. And it has a switch for on and off so that you can quickly turn it off while you're not using it and basically save yourself from letting this thing just sit in the holster and just destroying the tip like the other one did. And I think that's important to know. So when you're buying a solder iron, there are thousands of them out there, but I will say for 20 bucks, just over 20 bucks, this is really, really worth it. And it comes with all those extra tips as well. So we're gonna go ahead and let that cool down for a minute. All right. So now let's go ahead and get this soldered on. Okay, I'm gonna slide this, just to get it out of the way. I'm gonna slide it over this one. All right, now take about that much off, so. Kind of holds it, see how fat it gets? But that holds it a lot better. Kind of keep it out of the way. This is where the helping hands come in nice. All right, now I want to show you guys this stuff right here. It's called soldering paste flux. Basically what it does is it allows the solder to kind of, I don't know, it makes it easier to solder connections. It's the simplest way to put it. When you put a little bit on it, on each of your things, and then it goes a long way in making the connection stick. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my solder back on. There you go. And then we'll connect the two red ones. Get them touching. All right, there you go. That's how you connect them. Of course, I forgot to put my heat shrink on there. So that sucks. Yeah, you definitely don't want to forget to put the shrink tube on. Okay, so now when you release this, stretches to the length. Now, I do recommend you actually take a little bit of the flame. If you have any of these like little burrs, you can get rid of those. And then, since we have our piece here down at the end, go ahead and recover that. Like right now, it would be nice to get this shrink tube up over this a little bit, but I might have picked one that was slightly too small. I went with this one, when I might actually consider next time going with this one, which is slightly bigger, which can fit over this. See how it can fit over that? Keep that in mind. The more you do this, the more you learn, obviously. Anyway, so there you go. There's your end result. Fan check. Man, these fans are powerful. Holy crap. Nice. Okay, fans down. All right, now we're gonna make our switch. So this is basically a single switch, but we are gonna make an advanced version. Here's the switch we picked up off Amazon. It's already got this connector, but we wanna upgrade this. And we need to throw the 3S connector on here, right? So let's do the 3S connector first. So we picked up a 3-pack of these. Notice how I clean off the solder on the sponge so that it ends up getting this end nice and clean before I put it away, click it off. Again, clicking it off in between soldering sessions I think is huge when it comes to increasing the longevity of your solder iron, which just lends to the quality of a soldered iron if it has that option. All right, well there you have it. I honestly feel like I could have made this a little bit shorter, and I also think I could have thrown on maybe a heat shrink preemptively to combine both of these together. You know, maybe a little section about that long, just kind of hold these two wires together. But all right, so now that we've got that connected, we want to make this a splitter, right? We want to double this up, and so what we'll do is we'll take from our 6-pack of these that we got from Amazon. And you know, obviously underneath this electrical tape, somebody's done the work to combine these as far as making it a split. So we'll just snip it right here at the end, like so, leaving just enough of, so we don't really care for the white wire, which, you know, we'll just kind of leave that out of the way for now. But we're gonna take both those ends, we're gonna connect that here about here. So one of the things that we definitely want to do right now is we want to take one of our tubes and put it on so we don't forget. All right, get the white one out of the way. Probably should have given myself a little bit more to work with here, but whatever. All right, so there you have it. You've got a full 3S connector with a switch split to 2 fans, as opposed to a switch to 1 fan. And all I did was incorporate that Y splitter. Now, this is the piece that you buy again from Amazon. Just confirm that on the side where the 2 notches are, black is on the left and red is on the right. Now, you can obviously snip this. So you don't need the white one. I just snip it to get it out of the way. Basically, I won't solder this one on camera, but so this is basically what it would look like if you wanted to run directly to the 3S battery. And then just connect these two, like so. So you could do it without a switch, obviously, as well. And then basically as soon as you plug it in is the moment that the fans turn on, which honestly, I don't even know why you, I mean, you don't really need to bother with a switch. I mean, it's like $9 for a pack of 2 if you want to incorporate it. But otherwise, just running a simple direct run with your already made splitters to your 3S connector is like super simple, a little bit cheaper, and not a bad deal. So to wrap things up, I kind of wanted to show you guys real quick what I found. So with this small 850 milliamp 3S battery, you can actually put this thing right in here, like so. Right in there, perfectly. And then you can just take your strap and strap it on. Now you've got a extremely solidly mounted 3S battery right there on top. And then here's your connector to run your splitters into for your 2 fans. All right, guys, well, that wraps up this video on how to make your own switches. Pretty simple to do. I do recommend getting this solder iron. It's really good, works great, and it was pretty cheap. So now you've pretty much got the whole scoop on how to basically pick up everything you want in DIY and then make your own splitters and switches if you want. So my next video, I'm going to be installing these 40mm fan onto a heat sink that it otherwise is not compatible with, but I am going to modify this so that we can put these 40mm fans onto the heat sink. And the really nice thing about these heat sinks is they wrap all the way around your motor securely. So stay tuned for that. East Tactics out.